Howdy guys. I thought I might make it before the sunset, but not for this part. Anyway, I thought I'd check in and show you guys how the little tent was doing before we did today's lesson, and some things I learned doing this. Mistakes I made, things I would have done differently. But one thing is I didn't make it very pretty. It's just made to be functional. I'm not cared, about aesthetics, but I'll go ahead and turn to you here. There's the top of it. Good and insulated. I threw a bed of leaves and stuff over it and some branches to help hold the leaves. This side had good insulation because what little sun that did hit it, it melted the snow off rather quickly. You can see all of, and the sticks and everything I stood up to kind of weigh it down and help hold the leaves and stuff up there. Give it some more insulation. There's the stovepipe where it comes out. So things differently I would have done. I mean, I can stand up in it, but getting in is a pain. Here's my hole right there to get in. I had the ridge pole here a lot higher, but I decided that was letting a lot of heat out, so I dropped it down to make a smaller entry. Anyway, it is tough getting down in here because there's kind of a rock ledge you see there. And then back over that way, there's the top of it. There's the one pole, really serving no purpose. It's just kind of there, I guess, as a diagonal brace. Anyway. All right. But yeah, getting in is not very comfortable. So I'll have to dig out a little something there, make an easier step in, way in and out. I don't know how long I'll use this for though. And another thing is the fire is down around pretty low. Back down in the hole. You probably can't really see that at all. It's pretty dark back here. And now I have the option of digging all that around back over there out. There's the sidewall, some boards that was laying back here in the woods that were cut. And this sidewall, little air mattress, what you can see. I didn't bring a flashlight with me. So yeah, I mean, I would have put a few more branches on around there. Some stuff on the floor, better insulation down here. And closed off the holes a little more. Other than that, I mean, it's working fairly well. It's a little bigger than what I would need it for this space, so it's a lot to heat. I'll turn you back around. Yeah, for this area here, it's, as you can see, it's bigger than what I really need. So it is a lot to heat in this cold of temperature. So I could have made it a lot smaller and doubled up on my tarp more and everything. Anyway. All right, we'll come out here, sit on the outside, enjoy the view. Oh, okay. We'll take a couple firewood sticks to sit on. One more. Set that one there. Set that one there. Turn your one for me to sit on, one for the Bible to sit on. And we'll put this one there in case I ain't, oh no, it's too tall. So I'll swap it out. There we go. Something a little wider for my tush to sit on. Put that one there for the Bible. All right, bench for me, Bible, and we'll put you guys. Hi, Rosa. Huh? What is it? Pretty girl. Yeah. Okay, watch out. Comes Diesel. There's Blue. Hello, Blue. Hello. And there's Rosa. There's Jackson. There's Buddy. And there's Banner over there looking around. Yeah. All right, I got y'all all excited now, didn't I? All right, we're going to move back over there in between the logs so we're protected, okay? Yeah. Here, I'm going to set these guys up here. Let them watch you guys. Easy. Oh, BKB. We're going to move down and over here so I could sit next to the thingy there. And I think we can sit you guys right here. Yeah, so I can see what you see. Get you wedged in some snow there somehow. All right, let's see what happens there. Oh, we got to come way up, don't we? There we go. Now then. A little more. All righty. It is what it is. Howdy again. You know, I really appreciate everyone that does take the time to watch these. Like I said, I'm nobody special, important, anything like that. Just a child of God, just like you are. What I hope to do is speak to the ones that maybe I can speak to. The ones that I can understand, I can sympathize with, you know, like Jesus came in the flesh so that he was able to be tempted just as ours, so he can sympathize with us. He understands what we go through, you know, and not all of us are made to be able to witness to everyone. You know, we just don't have that ability to even understand what they've been through or what they're going through or their perspective, and they just maybe can't relate to us, you know. There's lots of different callings, you know, lots of different ways to serve, and each one of us is special and unique. Created in his image for his purpose. Today we're talking about Abraham's lesson on obedience. That's a big thing for a lot of Christians, is we kind of get this illusion formed in our minds that once we're saved, then that's it. We don't have to worry about anything else. There's not really much else for us to do. We just, I gave my heart to Jesus. You know, I love Jesus, and that's it. Well, if we're true new creation, we're becoming a new creation. We are growing constantly. We're not just there and then we're established, you know. Today's lessons will be in Genesis 20, or no, that's tomorrow. Genesis 16. Good to go back to Genesis. Even from the very beginning, God was establishing his relationship with us. Now, Sarah, Abram's wife, had borne him maidservant, whose name was Hagar. Now, they call them Sarah and Abram and Abraham. Maybe we'll have to do a name is a title. It's like a description. So for whatever reason, they change the names around. Christ has a purpose for that. But anyway, Sarah, Abram's wife, had borne him no children, and she had an Egyptian maidservant whose name was Hagar. So Sarah said to Abram, "See now, the Lord has restrained me from bearing children. Please go into my maid. Perhaps I shall obtain children by her." And Abram heeded the voice of Sarah. Then Sarah, Abram's wife, took Hagar, her maid, the Egyptian, and gave her to her husband Abram to be his wife, after Abram had dwelt 10 years in the land of Canaan. So he went in to Hagar, and she conceived. And when she saw that she had conceived, her mistress became despised in her eyes. Then Sarah said to Abram, "My wrong be upon you. I gave my maid into your embrace, and when she saw that she had conceived, I became despised in her eyes. The Lord judged between you and me." So Abram said to Sarah, "Indeed, your maid is in your hand. Do to her as you please." And when Sarah dealt harshly with her, she fled from her presence. Now the angel of the Lord found her by the spring of water in the wilderness, by the spring on the way to Shur. And he said, "Hagar, Sarah's maid, where have you come from, and where are you going?" She said, "I am fleeing from the presence of my mistress, Sarah." The angel of the Lord said to her, "Return to your mistress, and submit yourself under her hand." Then the angel of the Lord said to her, "I will multiply your descendants exceedingly, so that they shall not be counted for multitude." And the angel of the Lord said to her, "Behold, you are with child, and you shall bear a son, and you shall call his name Ishmael, because the Lord has heard your affliction." And we'll look down at that real quick. I should have looked that up already. Ishmael, the meaning of it. I thought I could find it real quick in my subtext, but I'll go on. "Because the Lord has heard your affliction, he shall be a wild man. His hand shall be against every man, and every man's hand against him. And he shall dwell in the presence of all his brethren." Then she called the name of the Lord who spoke to her, "You are the God who sees." For she said, "Have I also here seen him who sees me?" Therefore the well was called Beer-lahai-roi. Observe, it is between Kadesh and Berad. So Hagar bore Abram a son, and Abram named his son, whom Hagar bore, Ishmael. Abram was 86 years old when Hagar bore Ishmael to Abram. A lot going on there for sure. The Old Testament gives us the account of Abraham's life. He had a special relationship with God, but his faith was not perfect. Over the years, he came to understand the cost of disobedience, learning the hard way that manipulating circumstances can bring heartache. For example, God promised that Abraham and Sarah would have a child, but they were still waiting for that blessing when they were elderly. Already in their 70s, Sarah suggested that Abraham produce an heir by having a child with her servant Hagar. The result was jealousy, family strife, and conflict with long-lasting repercussions. Obedience will bring the Lord's best, but it sometimes requires waiting on him. Abraham was an old man when God promised him descendants as numerous as the stars. This would not be fulfilled until he was 100, and Sarah was well past childbearing age. which meant that the glory for Isaac's miraculous conception and birth was the Lord's alone. One reason the Father has given us his word is so that we might learn from the saints. Abraham's life teaches us that obedience is essential. When we choose to trust our sovereign God and yield to his timing, we discover firsthand how faithful he is. You know, it's only until we completely surrender it all and just leave it in his hands, our purpose, where we're going in life, what he will have us do. And we have to trust in him with that, even when we don't understand the outcome. You know, he was promised something and he wanted it his way instead of waiting on God's timing. And a lot of us can feel stuck in that waiting, you know, and it gets hard sometimes. And so we want to be like Abraham, you know, and maybe somebody else suggests this to us, and instead of just sticking to our word and being obedient and just waiting on the promise of God, I mean, it makes sense. You're like, well, maybe this is how God wanted. That's not what God said. Remember, go back to his promise and wait faithfully on him. You'll save yourself a lot of heartache and trouble and trials in life. I mean, I've beat my head up against the wall so many times, learning the hard way, learning the hard way, learning the hard way. But God was faithful and just all along, because to be right there with me, holding me each time I knocked myself out, you know, picking me back up and helping me learn to trust him more and in his way, and learning to be obedient to him, even when it's scary, even when it's hard, especially when it's scary and hard, when we doubt, we don't know the way. We know what we're going to do with it. We're going to mess it up. That's what the examples in the Bible can teach us by going all the way back into Genesis and looking at the lives of the saints and the mistakes they made. And that's why it's written down for us, so that we can understand a pattern of how God works and the results of disobedience and obedience. Thank you, guys. God bless.